Good day, everyone. I am Joyce Alcones, your reporter for the topic Network Fundamentals. Our agenda, where we cover multiple hardware elements and topologies of how these network setups work, let us look at the things we will be covering today in my discussion. First, LAN and WAN. Next, what is an IP address? What is a switch? What is a router? How do subnets works? Network address translation and understanding firewalls. Before we start to our agenda, first let us define network. So network comprises two or more computers that are connected, either by cables or Wi-Fi, with the purpose of transmitting, exchanging, or sharing data and resources. Let us get started with the two basic types of network, WAN and LAN. A wide area network, also known as a WAN, is a large network of information that is not tied to a single location. WANs can facilitate communication, the sharing of information, and much more between devices from around the world through a WAN provider. Next, a local area network or LAN is defined as a connected environment spanning in one or more buildings, typically in a 1 kilometer radius, that links computing devices within proximity of each other by using Ethernet and Wi-Fi technology. The benefits of a LAN are similar to those of any collection of connected devices that may access and even control one another. Exchange of files to print to shared printers and utilize a single internet connection. To better understand this, let us take a sample structure. You can see the various components of a local network connection. We can see three different devices: a system, a laptop, and a printer. So you have these few devices that need to be connected to a single local network. Now, to identify these devices inside the network, we need to assign an identifier to each device. Therefore, this is where the IP address comes in. What is an IP address? An IP address is a lengthy string of digits allocated to any device connected to a network that utilizes Internet Protocol as the communication medium. The addresses are divided into four sections, separated by DOMs. Each section represents an 8-bit binary integer which can range from 0 to 255. So the representation of what I'm saying is in the upper left of my screen, right? So each number in an IPv4 address represents an 8-bit binary integer, which is why none of them can be more than 255. These four numbers are expressed in normal decimal notation with the zeros and ones separated by a period, and the binary digits below each other. The distribution of these IP addresses is not just limited to LAN. Every device which is a part of the network will have its own IP address as assigned by the network administrator as seen on the given example. There. We can now identify each device individually by the designated IP addresses. Now, the primary purpose of a network is giving the ability of multiple devices to communicate and exchange information with each other. The laptop shown on the right screen and wants to use the printer in the network. It needs to know which particular device, or more precisely, which particular IP address to communicate. This is where a switch comes into play. A network switch joins devices in a network such as computers, printers, wireless access phones. It allows them to communicate with each other by exchanging data packets. Vast majority of a network equipment in modern data networks are switches. The link in extra PCs, access points, automated equipment, and some IoT devices via wired connections. Now that we understand the major parts of a local area network, a major query that may come to our mind is, how can these local networks communicate with other networks like foreign networks? Of course, with the help of router. A router is a piece of equipment that receives, analyzes, and transfers data packets across computer networks. The router checks data packets' destination IP address and utilizes headers and forwarding tables. This router can then be used to connect to the internet so we can communicate with our loved ones. How do we determine whether a piece of hardware is part of the local network or a foreign device? The answer lies in the subnet or subnetwork. Each device must belong to a particular range of addresses which are often known as the subnet. The flags used to determine the overall range of a local network are 255.255.0.0. So our example is on the right side of my screen. So the 192.168 is the consistent factor in every single IP address shown on the screen. That is also our denote fixed range. The last two places are the free ranges in this example, which means they can be any number less than 255, further helping the router and switch differentiate between multiple IP addresses. A wide area network is a collection of local area networks for any other networks that interact with one another. When a router communicates with devices outside a local network, it tends to mask the internally allocated IP addresses. This process is called network address translation. A network address translation is a method of translating one IP address to another while these packets are in transit through a router. This reduces the number of IT addresses required by a company to answer questions from external IT staff. It works by checking the internal routing tables to determine the correct internal IP address and the correct destination. What happens when a device on a external network wants to communicate directly with a device connected to the local network? This can be a big security risk for devices in a secure environment. This can be taken care of by a firewall. A firewall. A firewall is a device that monitors packets entering and leaving an internet network to determine whether or not they are permitted to access the network. This sort of firewall examines the destination and source IP addresses of each packet to see if it fits a given security rule set, and if it does not, it cannot access the system. Okay, that is all for the network fundamentals. Thank you and have a great day.